Welcome back, my friends, to the next video in this particular series, where we take a look at Ivo Robotnik. I like how they actually put his regular name in there, he hasn't accepted the Dr. Eggman moniker just yet. Now, looking at the packaging, I can tell that this is going to be a vast improvement over the Sonic 2 Dr. Robotnik figure, but I will voice a small amount of disappointment that his outfit just appears to be the movie 2 look. Like, they just made the figure, they upscaled his movie 2 figure and gave it better articulation instead of actually making the figure for movie 3. I would like it if this guy had some punch to him, and if the coat was open, because when I said in my trailer reaction, I kind of liked how those subtle changes made him look so much more like the video game version. The back of the box has his character description, of course. Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Ivo Robotnik proves that you can't keep an evil genius down for long, and sets his sights on world domination. No big deal. So yes, like Tails, Dr. Ivo Robotnik also features 20 points of articulation, so let's get him out of the packaging and see what that looks like. Now, real quick, I just want to make a couple of acknowledgements for Jim Carrey himself. First, the fact that he had actually announced that he was retiring from acting, but he came back to play Dr. Robotnik at least one more time. That is awesome. And he also broke his personal taboo on doing sequels. I think this might be the first time he's ever done, a second sequel to a movie he's been in. Sonic 2 was the first sequel, and now this is the second sequel. They have convinced him to do the occasional sequel, even though he usually hates making those. But the fact that he really has genuine passion for this role, that he would break two taboos at the same time, that was really, really cool of him. And this figure is actually pretty amazing. They took everything that was wrong with the figure from the second movie and fixed it, although they did overcorrect and kind of weaken it in other points, but not by much. So let's get a close-up look at the character likeness. That is Dr. Robotnik from the movies, all right. I love it. He has a big toothy grin, sharp cheekbones in his chin, that brilliant mustache. And if you look, his goggles are even applied just slightly off-center. I remember he had them a little bit off-center in the trailer. So, yeah, that's either that's a molding error or a really, really minute attention to detail. Whichever way, it still works. The suit is great. He's looking pretty darn good the way he did in the second movie. Only flaw is that in packaging it seems that a small part of the soft goods kind of got bent upwards. I can probably fix that with a hairdryer, no big deal. Like I said, the coat is soft goods so that it doesn't really restrict the movement of his legs or his ab crunch. Wow, that's very abular there. Very, very freeing ball joint. Okay, so articulation breakdown. Head is on a ball joint. Can look left and right. Can look a little bit up. Can look a little bit down. Not by much because of the sculpt of the collar in his neck, but whatever. Shoulders. Check out this shoulder. It has it goes outwards, and then it butterflies. So you can actually do this, and bring his hand all the way up. Look at that. Yes, he can facepalm. Bicep swivel. Elbow goes 90 degrees. Although, why does he have a swivel here if he has a swivel here? That makes his bicep into spinning meat. And he has a wrist joint, and the wrist joint is universal, so his hand can also go in and outwards as well. Kind of like how it's sculpted in the way that, like when he's pressing on the buttons on his palm to control his badniks, but it also looks like he's just throwing up the horns. He's the rocker! Yeah, Dr. Eggman, rock fan. His other hand is in a gesticulating pose. It's not a holding hand, it's a gesticulation! Yeah, and what I was talking about, let's bring it in. The shoulder works really cool, and that it has that butterfly joints and everything. But this, Like I said, he has this elbow. It gets a 90-degree bend and has a bicep swivel, but it already has a bicep swivel, so you have spinning meat. Like, if they combine this first bicep swivel on the arm with the double-jointed elbow that the first figure had, then you would have had the perfect arm. You would have had a character whose arm can bend really deep, like do a full bicep curl, and rotate around to be in front of him. Because, like, that was a limitation. Like, no bicep swivel meant that he couldn't put his hand in front of his face. Well, this one can put his hand in front of his face, but his elbow can't bend that deep. Oh, well. And yes, it's for the knees, too. Like, the previous movie figure had a double-jointed knee joint that could get a really deep bend, while this figure has a single-jointed knee that gets 90 degrees, but has a thigh swivel that the first one didn't have. And in this case, like, the boot doesn't really turn, but there is a thigh swivel up in the thigh. So this is not spinning meat, because this doesn't spin. But, you know, like, you can do the cross leg thing. Yes, he has a ball jointed ab crunch, so he has a full rotation, and he can bend forward and arch back. I'm wondering, like, since this is soft here, can I do the paunch myself? Can I, like, cut this up and make it into, like, and open it a bit and then sculpt onto his belly? I don't know. I don't want to risk it. Maybe if I had another one of these figures that I could mess around with. Hey, that's an interesting commission from me, right? Hey, Wake Angel, make my Robotnik figure fat. I might consider that. Okay. Hips are slightly restricted by the skirt, but, you know, like, it is soft, so it can flex out of the way. So you can get him to bring his feet all the way up, and you can get him to sit, although you're going to have these coattails to contend with. Maybe if this slit went up a little bit further, but, you know, not, like, again, I don't want to mess with my only figure. So, yeah, you can kind of get him to sit if you force the soft goods out of the way. And he has supreme ankle articulation, forward, backwards, ankle rocker, like, fantastic. So yeah, like, this is kind of your ultimate Jim Carrey Eggman figure. And you know what? You know what this is? This is yet another Dr. Eggman figure that's in 5-inch scale that isn't proper universe Eggman. Yeah, so we got Mr. Dr. Eggman and Dr. Dream, or whatever the Bohemian Eggman was from Sonic Prime, but and now we have movie Eggman. We still don't have a 5-inch figure of regular Eggman. Why can't I get a 5-inch figure of regular Eggman? I put a card on my stage so that the figure will be able to stand better. Okay, so the thing with having a 5-inch Eggman figure now is that you can take your 4-inch Sonic figures, and now that's really good scaling. You see, you take a 5-inch Eggman figure, stand it next to a 4-inch Sonic figure, and there you go. Now the scale works. Although, like, I've been saying 5-inch Eggman, but in truth, this is a 5-inch scale. So how tall is the actual figure? Let's get the old tape measure in. The figure is actually... It's actually almost 5 3/4 inches tall. So he's just shy of 6 inches tall. But you know what? For a Sonic figure that measures 4 inches tall, that's perfect scaling. So yes, Jakks Pacific, make a proper universe Eggman this size. You know, like you don't have to commit to making an entire 5-inch scale line for Sonic. Like, because we actually wouldn't want most of the Sonic characters themselves to be this tall. We only want the tall characters. So see if you can make a subline that's just like only Big the Cat, Vector the Crocodile, Dr. Eggman himself, and whatever other few Sonic characters are actually supposed to be this tall. I'm pretty sure you can get at least one wave. Mechasonic Mark II. Yeah, those are the 4 characters that we would want to actually be this tall, and that's the only ones you would have to make. So just do one wave of special 5-inch figures, call it the tall character line. The collectors will eat it up. Okay? There. I pitched it. It's free. You take it. I don't care. You don't owe me any royalties. Alright. So that was Dr. Eggman. So let's move on to probably the lead figure in this line that all the little kids are going to want to get their hands on. Although, clearly not quite the highest selling. But yeah, see you guys in the next video.